afternoon. Can we get started? Okay, well, on behalf of the entire Gokare family, thank you all for being here today for Kaushal Senior Recital. Before we get started, just to go over a few house rules. If everyone could silence their cell phones at this time, we kindly request that you do so. In addition, bathrooms are outside in the hall right across from the theater. However, we ask that if you need to get up for any reason, you do so in between pieces and not while Kaushal is playing. So with that being said, we can get started. I'm experiencing some deja vu right now. I think many of you might be as well, because 4 years ago, almost exactly to the day, you sat in this exact same room for my senior recital. But the similarities end there. So for the last 8 or so years, Kaushal has been training in jazz piano, which is very different from the classical piano that I specialized in. So with classical piano, it takes a level of structure, discipline, and rigidity, and that was something my personality was always attracted to. But Kaushal and I have very different personalities, and he tried classical, he didn't really like it, and he was attracted to the fun, the free spirit, and the spontaneity of jazz music. So if you know Kaushal, you know that he carries all of those personality traits, among many more. He's funny, he's extroverted, he's passionate, he's creative. He is the embodiment of jazz music. Another thing that is interesting, given our different personalities or different music preferences, is that we both trained under the same teacher, Miss Courtney. So Miss Courtney is very integral to our development, not just as musicians and as people. And we definitely could not have done anything without her guidance or her support. And Miss Courtney, I can't see you right now, but you're more than our piano teacher. You're our role model, a friend, and a part of our family. And you've definitely shaped Kaushal in his personality and in his music, which everyone will see today. So, Kaushal, I'm excited for your recital today. I know you've worked extremely hard, and what you've accomplished as a jazz musician is an incredible feat, and I know it's not easy at all, so I just wanted to say I'm proud of you and that you inspire me every day to live my life more like you do and to understand music the way that you do. So as a musician, a sister, and a friend, I love you, I'm proud of you, and go Jackets.
sorry. So thank you, first off, for everyone being here. It really means a lot to me, just because all of you guys have played some part in my journey through over the years. Now, so just give me a second. Sorry, I said I'd memorize the music, not the notes. So that first piece I just played it's called Maple Leaf Rag, and it's a piece composed by, of course, the great Scott Joplin, the king of ragtime. And in fact, when it was written, it was actually one of the most famous pieces ever, not just his. So I think it shows off a lot of what makes Scott Joplin's music so special. And really, that's part of what this whole concert is about. As my sister mentioned, I'm a big jazz pianist, but I actually got my start playing ragtime. That's how I got into jazz. And this concert's kind of a tribute to three people who I view, or three musicians who I view as some of the greatest composers and musicians ever. So meaning today you're going to be hearing a lot of ragtime, as well as a lot of my arrangements, and some improvisation as well. The piece I'm about to play is also by Joplin, and I'm playing it because I think it shows off another side to Scott Joplin that a lot of people don't really know, and it shows off how versatile he was, not only as a composer but as a musician. See, because at the time ragtime was only associated with bars and brothels, and that combined with the fact that he was an African American really stopped the world from appreciating a lot of his music. But he really did have such an incredible grasp of harmony and rhythm, and while that's true of all of his pieces, I think it really comes through well in this next piece with Weeping Willow. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you. Thank you. So I just really quickly want to invite my piano teacher to the stage, of course, to say a few words. Miss Courtney Lassarin, she's been my teacher for the past 13 years, and she's known me longer than basically anyone but some close friends and family. So she's, like my sister mentioned, she's played a huge part in the development of both my life and my sister's lives. And yeah, please give her a hand. Yeah.
So already, Barsha started making me cry, even though I thought I wasn't going to cry today. And now Kaushal is sealing it. But it has been my pleasure and honor to know this family for so many years. Kaushal reminded me yesterday that I've actually known him since he was 5, because I started teaching Varsha first. And through the years, I realized that, yeah, they've seen me go through as many changes as I've seen them go through changes. As when I first met them, I was not even a mother yet or married. So we've both seen each other go through quite a few changes. But now their family feels like my family, and I feel like they will be my family for life, and I'm really grateful for that. What do I say about Kaushal? So many things to say about Kaushal. The things that strike me about Kaushal are his passion, his determination, his fearlessness, his dedication, and his just pure love for music. And it's always been there, even from a young age. He, Varsha commented that classical music wasn't really his thing, but it also needs to be noted that he did reach a very high level and is able to play classical pieces if he were to pull them out. It's just that in learning this history of jazz and the spirit of jazz and the art form of jazz, it just completely, he felt it, and he was inspired by it. And I will also say that it is not the faint of heart who take on jazz improvisation. I can say that as a musician of many years and someone also on the same journey. It does take a lot of courage. It does take a lot of time. It takes innovation, and you're kind of a pioneer. But before I even go into talking about that, I just want to talk a little about his other musical accomplishments over the years. So we have an organization that we study for exams called the Royal School of Music, the Associated Board of the Royal School of Music. And Kaushal, during his course of study, also took several of those. I want to say it was up to level 5. But, the very rigorous in theory, and then you have to go before a judge and perform your pieces and get graded. And he always achieved high merit on all of those. So maybe just a little round of applause for that accomplishment, because it's pretty huge. Once he realized his passion and love for jazz music, he also took it upon himself to organize at his high school the jazz band. I think one year he did it with the director, and then he was like, this is just not enough. Like, we need to get this going. We need to get it more. We need to get out into the community. We need to perform. And so between his band director and myself, he organized his high school jazz band for several years. And he had about 20 members at one point in time, I recall. And that's a lot of work on top of everything else that Kaushal does. But you have to transcribe all the pieces, pick out the repertoire. He directed the overall group, and then they would go and perform. I know they performed at a lot of assisted living homes and stuff like that. So I always was really inspired by him in that regard. He's a great leader, a great innovator. Again, the thing that I also love about Kaushal is through all of that, he's also very humble. And I have to just speak on him as a human being. I think he has a great sense of humanity, and he's always maintained his humility, even though with all his achievements and working hard. So a little about jazz improvisation. The next two pieces that he's going to play, Ruby, My Dear, and Autumn Leaves, when you learn the art of jazz, you learn the chords. It takes a lot of scales. You can read the lead sheet at first, but then you're kind of on your own to take all of the knowledge and all of the tools that you've been gained and create your own arrangement, or kind of take your take, listen to a lot of what other people have done that were the greats, and then make your own, kind of give it your own take. And he spent a great amount of time doing this. I mean, anyone who plays jazz improv knows how much time it goes into cultivating this art. And so the next two pieces, I just hope you really note, and for the rest of the program, for the most part, is all a bit of improv going on during it. But it's just extraordinary, and it's an honor for me, and it's an inspiration to see this music and art form that I love so much be passed on, and see someone like Kaushal take the torch. He's doing such a great job to honor it, the tradition, and keep it alive. So without further ado, Kaushal, I am so proud of you. I don't even think I can put into words, and I'm so grateful and just proud to see how far you've come on this road. So congratulations, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of this program thoroughly and relaxing.
So once again, I could talk about Miss Courtney forever, and I will later. But she has been a huge part of my life, and I just want to thank her for everything, not just music. So as she mentioned, though, the next piece I'm playing is called "Ruby, My Dear," and this song is it's something special. So it was written by one of the most successful composers in history. His name is Thelonious Monk, and he's actually the second musician who influenced me a lot throughout the years. So I think one of the things that made Monk so special was how his music was very weird, yet universal at the same time, and I think that's definitely true for this piece. It has a completely unique harmonic structure. It's something I've never seen before, meaning the chords are kind of whack, and it still conveys so much emotion through all that. And I think that's why this was one of the hardest pieces for me to arrange, because I just wanted to get it right. I wanted the piece to feel like a journey for the listeners, and hopefully it does. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Thank you. So this next piece is, it's also a jazz piece. It's called Autumn Leaves. It's originally actually a French song, but in true jazz fashion, they turned it into something completely different. So this is it's a jazz standard, meaning it's been recorded by a billion different people, billion different ways, billion different times. And while so many of them are incredible, like the Bill Evans version or Miles Davis's version, there's one that really sticks out to me, and it's Errol Garner. The way he kind of controls the keys is something fascinating, and he's probably the third musician who really influenced me. So he was a prodigy ever since, he was 3 years old. He was playing piano, and by the time he was 4, he was better than his teacher, so they had to get him someone new. And he never stopped improving his whole life. And as a player, he's almost unmatched technically, meaning like his ability was incredible. But as a musician, the way he played was also just so unique. He pulled from all the greats that came before him, everything from classical to jazz and everything in between, like stride, whatever. And while Autumn Leaves was not his composition, his grandioso style and dramatic movement is something that I think really kind of affected the way I thought about this piece, and I don't think I really noticed until much later. And lastly, I'm going to be playing this piece a little bit different than usual. I'm going to be playing it as a waltz, so in that kind of style, and I hope you guys enjoy. So I just want to take a moment to invite my parents up to the stage to say a couple of words as well. Obviously, none of this would be possible without them. And of course, yeah, I'll talk, of course I have a lot to say about them later on, but hopefully first my mom doesn't embarrass me too much. Okay.
Good afternoon. I hope everyone is enjoying the concert so far. A few thanks are definitely in order, and I would like to take this opportunity here to do just that. But before that, I would like to say a little bit about why we decided to have this recital today for Kaushal. So after Kaushal's thread ceremony, when he was about 7 in 2008, we had not really celebrated any of his accomplishments and major milestones. Next week, Kaushal heads off to Georgia Tech. He turned 18 in April, and he also achieved his Eagle rank in Boy Scouts. So there were a lot of reasons to celebrate, and what better way to do that than organizing this recital, because his passion is in music. Kaushal has been learning piano for almost 13 years now, and this seemed like a natural culmination of all his achievements. So first and foremost, big thanks to Ms. Courtney, Kaushal's piano teacher, without whose support and guidance for the last 13 years, this day would not have been possible. Ms. Courtney has been Kaushal's mentor and guide, not just when it comes to music, but also she has played a huge outsized role in the lives of both of our children, and they look up to her. Thank you, Ms. Courtney. And when it came to college recommendations or being on the Eagle Rank Board of Review for Kaushal, she was always there for Kaushal, and for that we really appreciate it. Now, like all parents, we also wanted to expose Kaushal to a variety of opportunities. When he was younger, we tried many things with him: baseball, soccer, karate, to name a few. But only two things really stayed with him. Those were scouting and piano. An interesting story here is that when it came to piano, Kaushal just assumed he had to play piano because he would be dragged along. Whenever Recital piano class he would go, even from the time when he was in his car seat. So he just didn't really think that he had an option. So whenever he was ready to play the piano, he started playing it. And once again, I mean, Miss Courtney has, of course, fostered his love of music and piano. And thanks also to Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Walsh. They are the band directors for Kaushal from Alfred High School. Actually, Mr. Walsh is here with us today. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Thank you, Mr. Walsh, for all your encouragement, guidance, and training to Kaushal these last 4 years in Alfred High School. Kaushal has always respected you for the excellence you have demanded from him and as well as other students in wind ensemble and also in the marching band. Thanks again. Thank you so much. Thanks also to Aaron Bagger, Ian Valdez, and Joy Best. They're here. They're also going to be participating in this recital today. They have been a strong source of support for Kaushal. And, I don't want to give up too much, but, you'll have a treat with all three of them coming on stage. Thanks to our dear friend Lori Lusby of Serve It Up Catering for providing us the delicious food for the reception following the recital. We really appreciate Lori's support always. Thanks to Prashant, thanks to Jean, and the entire ByteGraph team for all the photography, videography, and the sound system. And also Mitch from MJCC and Ms. Goodman, Ms. Kim from MJCC. Thank you so much. You guys have been of tremendous help in putting this recital together. Last but not the least, thanks to all of our friends who are here and the family who came from long distance. My brother Ravi and my nephew Prashant, they've come all the way from Connecticut. Really appreciate that. Finally, Kaushal, you have enormous potential. Make the most of it. Stay humble, stay grounded. Sky's the limit for you. Do your best always. We wish you the very best. We love you. Thank you once again, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the performance. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Of course, my speech is from a mother's point of view. And first of all, ditto to everything what Manjunath said. Thanks to everybody. We want to thank all of you for coming today, as each one of you has been an integral part of Kaushal's life and have influenced him in one way or the other. So we are very grateful and sincerely appreciate that you are here today to support him and hope that you will continue to support him as he now will move on to the next chapter of his life, which is college and beyond. Now, as Manjunath mentioned, Kaushal has been learning piano ever since he can remember, and as such, his music journey started from a very young age, winning him many awards, accolades, and recognitions in music theory and practical examinations as he went along. And a big part of this musical journey has been Miss Courtney, as we have mentioned, Kaushal's piano teacher. Miss Courtney has been Kaushal's piano teacher since he was 5 years old, but she has really known Kaushal all his life. In fact, Miss Courtney, as I always tell you, besides Manjunath, me, and Varsha, you are the only other person in this world who has seen him grow up, because you really saw him every week coming for his piano lessons. And as Manjunath mentioned earlier, I would bring him along in the car seat, so he would tag along every time Varsha had her lessons. So you really have seen him ever since he was a baby. And Miss Courtney, you have been such a strong and positive influence in his life and have had a great impact on him in shaping his personality. And I would like to share a small incident that happened many years ago to illustrate this. As a kid, Kaushal was a very shy and a quiet child. I know it's very hard to believe that now, right? Well, Kaushal was about 7 to 8 years old, and he was participating in a dance performance for our local community event. Of course, he hated being part of that dance group, and as such would never practice those dance steps at home. But one day, as I was picking up Kaushal, after having finished his piano lessons with you, you came out and you told me that Kaushal had told you all about this dance performance and had even shown you his dance moves. I was shocked, and I even asked you if you were talking about my Kaushal who had shown you the dance moves. And I realized that day that you were so influential in his life that he was so comfortable with you that he had opened up to you. So thank you, Miss Courtney, for being there for him all along, and especially these past few years, and cultivating his interest in and love for music, especially jazz, and bringing him to this point here today. Now a little bit about Kaushal. Well, like Manjunath said, this has indeed been a big year for him. High school graduation, becoming an Eagle Scout, several leadership roles in school, and one of the big highlights was winning the prestigious Teen Leader of the Year award at the YMCA. Now he was the founder of the jazz band at Alpharetta High School, and last but not the least, finishing off his senior year as the band captain of Alpharetta High School. And what an exciting and interesting these past 18 years have been for us, And in all these 18 years, Kaushal has never ceased to amaze us. I look back to his elementary school years when he was quite a handful, throwing tantrums, whining, being angry and aggressive, fighting with his akka, which is Varsha, and I often worried about him and spent many restless nights thinking about how I was ever going to raise him and how he would ever turn out to be. As a kid, Kaushal was always a curious and bright young boy, but he would drive me nuts with his constant questioning and asking why. He questioned and challenged us on topics like religion, science, the origins of universe, music, etc. And he tested our limits in parenting. He would never be satisfied with the answers we gave him unless he himself was thoroughly convinced of it. He was relentless and persistent and persevered on all that he took up until it was finished or until he had it his way. Although it drove me nuts at that time, little did I realize that it would be these very traits and qualities that would become a huge part and be instrumental in shaping his personality. So today, when I see all the things he has accomplished, I see that same perseverance and the stubborn and steadfast determination that he had back then, and he developed it and put it to good use. He honed on all his skills, and his curiosity got him exploring things by himself, and he soon became very independent, sensible, logical, and a critical thinker. As I watched and observed Kaushal grow up and mature as a person in his development through middle school years, I saw that he was changing from that quiet, shy, stubborn little boy to a matured, sensitive, extroverted, and confident young man, full of energy and a great sense of humor. He was taking on leadership roles and was becoming more and more passionate about things he was involved in. He started volunteering in several service projects as part of his Scouts and YMCA clubs and started to appreciate the finer things in life. Today, as he stands before us as a fine young man, we see that he has become a good leader, a great role model, and a mentor to his peers, a compassionate volunteer, a caring brother, a loving son, and most importantly, a good human being. And so as parents, what more can we ask for? Okay. I'm almost done, sorry. So Kaushal, now as you step out of our shadows and into this next chapter of your life, I continue to hope and pray for nothing but the best for you in your life. You have a good head on your shoulders, so use it well. Life always has its ups and downs, and there will be challenges ahead on the road in front of you. Always choose what is right and not what is easy. Be good and do good. Things have a way of working out, and as long as you keep chugging along your road in a sincere manner and by giving it all of your 100%, success will follow. And last but not the least, in all of this, always remember to thank God and to be humble before Him. Papa, Akka, and I will always be there for you to support you, cheering you on. We wish you all the very best, and we love you.
So, once again, thank you to my parents, and I'm going to talk about them, of course, later on. They've been, I'm getting there. No, you have to sit through this first. No, I'm just kidding. They've always supported me. I think, I haven't realized, how rare that was. If there's something I wanted to do or achieve, even if it's not something they understood, they've always kind of been there, and music is a great example of that. So, now moving on, I didn't mention it earlier, but another important aspect of this concert is that it's almost like a sample platter throughout jazz history, in my opinion, because historically, right, ragtime was one of the direct predecessors to jazz. It led into stride piano, which then led into jazz piano kind of stuff. But it was the trunk out of all the branches that came out of it. So the next two pieces are going to take it back, and they're also going to be Rags by Scott Joplin. And hopefully you can start to appreciate the similarities between all this music and why it connected to so many different people at its time and still now. So this piece coming up is called The Sycamore, and then the one after that will be The Entertainer. Thank you. The next piece I will be playing again is it's another monk piece. It's called Round Midnight. The next piece I'll be playing is another monk piece called Round Midnight. This piece has always fascinated me. It's unbelievably unique, and clearly it's caught the minds of a lot of people because it is the most recorded jazz song in history. So it's just like Monk's other work. It's so unbelievably unique, and everyone who listens to it or plays it feels it in a completely different way. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so popular. It's just so versatile. And it's been played in many styles, not just jazz. There's a rock version. There's many rock versions actually, and there's even hip hop versions. It's crazy, but it's a excellent piece, and it still always maintains a bit of the flavor that was originally intended when he wrote with it. Now, some people think that he recorded this piece when he was 22, 23. That was the first time he recorded it. But Monk, a lot of people think he wrote this song when he was 19, in fact. And just the fact that it's such a genre-defining song, and he, was my age and was doing these kinds of things is just incredible to me. And that's why I really took this piece very seriously. I took all of them seriously, but I took this one really seriously because it just has a special place for me. It's I don't know, it invokes a lot of emotion, but it can be completely different depending on who you are. So I hope you enjoy Round Midnight. So while we transition into the next piece, I just want to, while Aaron, Ian, and Joy get set up, I just want to quickly take a break because I know you guys have been hearing me play for the past hour and a half. So now you get to hear me talk for the next hour. I just have a lot of things to say because there's so much to say about this music and my personal musical journey, and most importantly, everyone who's here. So, as they mentioned, I've been playing piano for about 13 years, and I got started because I would watch my sister play, and I just loved it because like they said, I just kind of thought that was what I was going to do. My parents saw that and signed me up with the same teacher as my sister, Miss Courtney, and she was my sister's teacher as well all the way until college, and they still are, of course, very close. But for many years, I was learning piano, I think, just to learn piano. I just thought it was oh, okay, it's cool. And don't get me wrong, I loved it, but most of the playing that I was doing was just hand-me-down stuff from my sister. She would play it, I'd be like, oh, I guess I should play it. But it was only until, 8 or 9 years ago that I began to truly develop, a passion for music. I started to play ragtime, once again, because my sister decided to play the entertainer. So I started to play entertainer, and I started to play ragtime in general. And I quickly fell in love. There's no other way to say it. So come 6th grade, I decided to audition for jazz band with the help of my friend. And ever since then, I've been constantly trying to expand as a musician, and more importantly to me, as an artist, because that's what jazz is to me. It's an art, and it's nothing more, it's nothing less. In fact, it's the first true American art form, right? And because it's such an all-encompassing idea, it's many times hard to exactly describe in one way. What is jazz? Is it fast? Is it slow? Does it swing? Is it straight? Do you need a big band or just a small group, or can you play by yourself? And the answer to all of that is yes, because when most people think about jazz nowadays, they think elevator music, and that's fair. People like Kenny G do make good elevator music, but hopefully today I've given you a taste, and you'll get a really good one now, of how jazz is actually a lot more, because jazz musicians are different when they don't just play music. What they're doing is they're playing, they're composing, they're arranging, and they're feeling the music all at the same time, instantaneously, and that takes a lot of work. And that's why, to me, jazz is one of the purest forms of self-expression, and that's what makes it an art in my mind. But I get it, right? Jazz, it's kind of weird. It's not always that fun sounding, and that's, to me, kind of the point. See, we're not always happy, and we're not always sad, we're not always energetic, and we're not always tired, and jazz allows musicians to embrace all of those emotions at full range and express it in the truest way possible. And it's not supposed to be always easy for us listeners or for us to understand, and it's because people's emotions and journeys and stories aren't easy to understand. So, I like to compare jazz to a classic movie, like The Godfather, per se, right? The movie can be very disturbing at times. It can be really sad. It can be slow. It can be action-packed, and it can even make you angry. And it takes a lot of effort to watch those movies, but it makes, in the end, it makes us all the better for it because it feels real. It's not entertainment anymore. It's like a story. So that's why I'm passionate about all these genres: ragtime, jazz, swing. Even though they may have, they're all well before my time, or shockingly, even my parents' time. Even though they may not have the same glamour that they're used to, it still holds a special place in my heart. So that's why recently I've been practicing 6-7 hours a day to make sure these songs represent kind of what I want them to sound like. And I know what you're thinking. He's been playing for 13 years and he's been practicing 6-7 hours a day, and he still sounds like that. And you know what? You'd be absolutely correct, right? And that's why I never, you'd be right, because that's why it's music like this, which is why, I never got good at soccer. I never got good at baseball or anything that would have gotten rid of this dad bod. But, and it's also why I don't consider myself a jazz musician, because I have so much more to learn and so much more to explore. I'm a fan. I love the music, and I think I can play some jazz, but I don't think I'm a jazz musician yet, because that takes another level. But of course, the real reason I'm here isn't any of that, right? I wouldn't be playing on a stage in front of an empty auditorium, right? It's you guys that are here that really just makes it all worth it, getting to play for other people, getting feedback, constantly improving. And I just want to thank you all for everything you guys have done for me. So whether you've heard me play before or you haven't, thank you for being a part of my life and for supporting me, not just today, of course, but every day. And I, also, the fact that I have my cousin and my uncle here from all the way in Connecticut means a lot to me. It just shows, I guess that, it shows all the support. I also, of course, want to thank Aaron, Ian, and Joy for helping me grow as a musician personally, as a member of a band, and for being part of this special day. Yeah, and then, you guys can tune or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So, and of course, I wouldn't be here without my parents. My parents, unfortunately, are tone deaf though. They this is not a joke. They legitimately sometimes can't tell the difference between a trumpet or a piano. And I'm sorry, it's kind of true. But yeah, even though this is not something they were ever part of or enjoyed, they've supported both me and my sister with our music throughout our entire lives, and I'm so thankful for that. I mean, this concert alone is just something to be so grateful for, and I am, and it's all thanks to, of course, my mom and my dad. There's also someone special in the audience who I want to thank. My dad mentioned, but my high school band director, Mr. Walsh, is here. He's one of the two band directors here. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere here. I can't see a thing. And of course, yeah. Both Mr. Walsh and Mr. Jenkins have taught me so much. There you go. Thanks for being here, Mr. Walsh. Appreciate it. He was one of my two band directors, and it's sadly true, but piano players are known, actually, it's kind of ironic, for their lack of rhythm and harmony, because we don't have to worry about matching to other people's rhythm, or a lot of times for solo players, and harmony, we don't have to tune, we just kind of push buttons. So I've learned so much more about music, leading a band, playing with others, the purpose of music, and even leadership and hard work from both Mr. Walsh and Mr. Jenkins, and I can't thank you enough for that. And of course, he's always pushing us to get better, especially me, so I can't pass off any of my mistakes as improvisation to him, because he knows. And finally, I just want to thank my sister and, of course, Miss Courtney for making me the musician I am today. I wouldn't have even gotten started with music at all if it weren't for my sister, of course. And for those early years, she really showed me the ropes and ignited that spark that later became that passionate fire. And of course, then it was Miss Courtney who truly helped me grow that flame. Music or not, she's always been a huge mentor for me and a source of inspiration for whatever, music, of course for jazz music, but also with just the way I need to live my life. And she's the one who's helped me find my own voice in my playing and allowed me to kind of let it shine through. So once again, thank you everyone here for coming today. And now for some fun stuff, all right? So we have Joy Best on bass. We got Joy Best on bass. We got Ian Valdez on drums. Right? Yeah, they're good. Of course, Aaron Bagger on tenor saxophone. I'm on the keys. This is take 5. Enjoy. Give them another round of applause. I mean, that was incredible. They're all awesome musicians. They didn't have to do this. They're really helping me out here, and I mean, they're all just incredible on their instruments, and they're all great friends who challenge me musically and personally. Thanks again for that. And this next song, our last piece, is called Straight No Chaser. So it's another monk piece, but this piece is a little different. So all it is it's basically a hard bop twist on what is just a classic 12-bar blues, meaning it's just classic blues, except it sounds fancy. And the reason that is because he put the same melody. The song is basically the same melody, but it just loops over in different places and cuts off differently, and it gives it a whole flavor just by doing that. So, of course, what comes out of this, especially when you're playing with a group as good as they are, is something really special, and it's just kind of this complexity hidden inside of simplicity, as well as like freedom for all the players that makes Monk the composer he is, and I really hope you enjoy Straight No Chaser. Okay, cool. Give it up for Aaron again on the saxophone. Keep it up for Joy on the bass. And of course, Ian Valdez on drums. You know, they gave up a lot to help me out here, and I really appreciate that. They all sound great too. Thank you so much for coming. Please stay for some food right next door, and of course, feel free to give me any feedback you have, or leave it in the comment book. And if you want it to remain anonymous, don't worry, I won't cry. But thank you all so much for coming. I look forward to talking to all of you guys right out there, and I appreciate it. Good night.